Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever in the world you are. My name is Apni Rambia. I'm the Principal Product Group Manager for Customer Identity and Access Management here at Microsoft Security. We're here today to talk about the future of Microsoft Entra External Identities. For today's agenda, we're going to be talking about securing your digital front door, customer identity and access management needs for today and tomorrow, and Microsoft Entra External Identities features to enable this as a rugged developer-friendly platform. We'll talk about reasons to bet your identity future on Microsoft Entra and give you a couple of things to try out next. Let's start with what developers love to do. You want to create great experiences for your users that solve problems, drive engagement, and grow your business. You want to innovate and you want to do it fast. Here's what developers don't love to do. They don't particularly like thinking about spending time adding identity and token management to their application code and staying on top of ever-changing security, accessibility, and compliance requirements. Nobody wakes up in the morning excited to add identity to their apps. You wake up excited about building differentiated, lovable products. Let's be honest. Unless you're an identity expert, you really shouldn't be in the business of building identity or security systems either. And that's where Microsoft Entra can help. For external identities applications in the market today, we have a well-loved suite of products. Microsoft Entra ID B2B and B2E makes it easy to build self-service auth journeys. It's integrated with identity and access management and all of Entra's identity governance tools. It makes it really easy for you to collaborate with your partners. On the flip side, you have limited branding and customization for these scenarios and limited separation between employees, partners, and customers. Azure AD B2C, on the other hand, offers this flexible, customizable platform and UX. You're able to scale seamlessly, and you're able to maintain separation between employees, partners, and customers. On the flip side, however, this platform is really hard to develop and maintain, and it's relatively slow in terms of the parity of authorization and governance features, such as user groups or app roles, between the main Entra ID stack. Customers love Azure AD B2C. It works brilliantly for customer scenarios. We continue to see double and triple digit growth, and customers also love it because it's affordable. However, as we started to think about meeting developers where they are, adapting to your needs for innovation and seamless collaboration and control, we started to realize we had to fill the gap between the control and customization options. That brings us to Microsoft Entra External ID. We're excited to share that we now have one experience, one platform for all your identities. We have modern auth for B2B and B2C, integral part of the Entra ID stack. You can build frictionless, customizable end-user experiences with developer-friendly libraries, quick start app wizards, get started in minutes, customize easily. And all of this is built on the future-proof, scalable, resilient platform. Ultimately, what we're giving you is a developer-first platform that will help you create custom frictionless sign-up and sign-in experiences that delight your end users and help your services stand out. It inherits all the latest innovations from Azure AD Core Platform, including identity governance and protection, and it meets the high security standards and offers the effortless compliance and scale that CISOs have come to expect from Azure. So let's dig in more. One of the big changes you'll see in the Microsoft Entra External Identities platform is you no longer have to choose left or right between B2B and B2C as you seek to create a balance between the level of control you have over your user experience and the level of customization you build in to get fast and fluid consumer experiences. As one example of this, what you'll see coming soon is an alternative to your auth itself. You can continue with traditional web-hosted authentication, where Microsoft handles all the security credentials on your behalf, so you never even have to handle customer passwords. Or you can use client-native authentication, where speed and friction are more important than precise control, and you're able to handle a little bit more of the security responsibility for your app. Regardless of which option you choose, your customer data is in the same directory. You code with the same set of platforms and you have the same set of tools at your disposal. You can have different apps on the same directory that are configured to use different sides of this continuum. And so you ultimately have full spectrum flexibility for your application and your scenario, and you can always switch left or right as your needs change in the future. With the new platform, you also get developer-friendly identity in minutes experiences. We have quick start wizards that are built into the Entra admin portal and are also built in with Visual Studio, Azure Container App Services, and more. This world-class developer experience gives you more than just libraries and client-side code. It's the environment that you build your application in and the platforms you deploy on. We want to support you on GitHub, within the Visual Studio tools family, on Azure, and with ecosystem tooling such as Android Studio and Xcode. If you're in Visual Studio or VS Code, you should be able to create a new application with identity built in just by clicking on File New. If you're deploying to Azure, identity should just work for app services, functions, container apps, and APS. And you should be able to use latest AI-driven tools like GitHub Copilot. Think of what it would be like to use the Entra automation features alongside tools like ChatGPT to provide AI-driven workflow automation. You can get started with the first parts of these experiences at aka.ms/siam/dev. Even as we make it easy for you to get started with identity in your applications, we've also made it friendly for you to add power features with ease. As an example, you can now add authorization to your applications using familiar role-based access control features in Entra ID, including user groups and app roles. This brings all the goodness from the current in-market Entra ID product, all backed by our promise of reliability, scale, and built-in fraud management, and all the additional authorization capabilities you've been asking us for that Azure AD B2C wasn't able to provide. Also part of our developer-friendly power tools is Journeytime orchestration. With Microsoft Entra External ID, we have a powerful extensibility framework that's developer-friendly, CI/CD friendly, and allows you to customize your authentication business logic in flexible, quick ways. Integrating an identity solution into your existing business logic can be hard, but with the custom claims provider feature, you can effortlessly add your own business logic and workflows. As an example, you can pull user attributes from external data stores that live outside the user directory into security tokens. You can even validate a user's input data during registration or load branding assets on the fly during sign up or sign in. We're going to continue to add to your options for Journeytime orchestration and continue to make this easier and faster to use as you start to think about how you build even the most complex business logic journeys on Microsoft Entra External ID. As we look forward, we're always thinking about what's the next step in identity. We envision a trusted and frictionless world beyond traditional sign-up and sign-in, built on the strength of verifiable credentials. With these, you can recognize your customer at your front door without invading their privacy and always with their consent, but at the same time with rich recognition and fast and fluid onboarding. We see applications for this in Know Your Customer for reduced fraud, whether it's online or in person, to improve experience with affiliates and recommendation programs, to streamline referral experiences and reduce help desk costs by recognizing your customer before you connect with them. At the same time, customers receive digital receipts of all the transactions, so they have complete visibility, and all of this is based on industry standards. So to recap what we talked about today, we're building a thought-leading rugged identity platform to meet you, the developers, where you are. This is the future of Microsoft Entra External Identity. We remain an integral part of Microsoft Entra within the Microsoft Entra, Azure, and Visual Studio ecosystem. So you can rely on us for authorization, security, and governance while building the innovative services you want to delight your customers at the velocity you need. It's easy to get started for adding identity to applications, and it's simple to customize your user flows, branding, sign-in methods, and any attributes you may need to have. At the same time, you have powerful extensibility features at your disposal to connect external systems, make runtime modifications to your auth journeys, and adapt your application to your business needs. You can safely bet your business and customer identity future on Microsoft Entra External ID because we'll take care of authentication and authorization innovations in the market, such as verified ID, so you don't have to. At the same time, there's no change to the existing Azure AD B2C product. If you're already using products you know and love, there's no change for you. Nonetheless, we'd love for you to try out the new platform. Tell us what you think. Get started in minutes by scanning that QR code. If you'd like to receive early feature updates from us, join us at aka.ms/onboard to Siam. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to your feedback and your questions.
Wow. Thank you, Avni, for such an amazing presentation. And welcome, everybody, to the Ask Me Anything portion of our Tech Accelerator. My name is Joseph Christensen. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at Microsoft for External ID. And with big announcements come a lot of questions, natural, of course. And with that, I have some talented product managers who are going to help us out answering those questions. I have Pawan Nishima and Steven Sanoff. We are so ready to tackle everything, but I just want to give you guys a moment to introduce yourselves as well.
Yep. Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Pawan Nrsimha. I'm a product manager on the External ID team, responsible for the core platform and monetization.
Hi, and I'm Steven, also product manager, thinking about extensibility and developer experiences for building on the platform.
Fantastic. Now, guys, we are already on fire with some questions. I'm going to kind of hit them to rapid fire. Let's see what we can do. First question is from Twitter. What is the path to migration from B2C custom policies to external ID?
Great question. So I completely understand that current B2C customers who are looking to get onto the new platform, which has all the innovation, you need a seamless path, preferably with little cycles that you have to spend to migrate. So we are working hard on that right now. At this point, we are trying to do this in a phased manner. First, for those customers who are using user flows in B2C, and then we'll get on to the customers who are using custom policies in B2C. But stay tuned for more updates from us, more towards GA of this product, of the Entra External ID product. Our goal and our objective is not to leave anyone behind, and we'll show you a real clear path to migration, hopefully that you can self-serve. But more on that later.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the heels of that, let's get into our next question. Do I need to use new libraries to build a Microsoft Entra External ID app?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So that's a good question. The libraries that you'll be using to interact with Entra External ID is the same as you've always used to build applications with Azure AD. These are the Microsoft Authentication libraries. We have a full suite in all the common languages from Java and Python through to Node, .NET, and more coming. There was a Go one that came recently. So just keep in mind that you can use all the learnings and the knowledge and the code bases that you built up with that to interact with any kind of application built on the External ID platform.
Very nice. Now, real quick, on that same note about a feature, does External ID have geolocation capabilities?
So I can take that one. So when you say geolocation, there are a couple of things I can think about. So there are two things. So one is during identity protection, or when you want to kind of do a second factor authentication on someone, you're following their geolocation, seeing if it's suspicious, and then taking that risk signal into account. If that's the case, yes, we have that. I could also think of geolocation, but maybe a stretch, as data residency, where you want your users' data to be in location, whether it be in Japan or say Australia or something of that sort. In that case, yes, at GA or close to GA, we will be launching data residency in a couple of regions, and then expanding to more. That's really the power of Azure as well. Hope that answers your question. Happy to take follow-ups.
Yeah, there's one other interpretation, I guess, you could have of geolocation. That would be localization, things like languages, and there's a base set of languages supported.
Right. And if so, yes. So we do support that with the language customization as well. Thanks, Steven.
Now, with that, also, I think, because we're talking about starting to get into the features, we're starting to talk, get a little more in depth. I think what some people are thinking about is what is the pricing model for External ID? And what are some prereqs that we have to keep in mind?
Could you repeat the question again, Joseph?
Yeah, absolutely. I said, what is the pricing model going to be for external ID? Like, what are some prerequisites we should keep in mind for like new users or pre-existing users that are already maybe like using Azure AD external identities?
Yes. So right now, pricing on Azure AD B2C and Azure AD external identities is status quo. No change to that as of now. We will be announcing pricing for Entra External ID at GA. And so we'll have more for you at that time. In terms of prerequisites, again, nothing. Everything is status quo. If you are a current B2C customer, please proceed as you are today. If you want to try Entra External ID, we are in public preview. It's free. There's no price associated. So please hop on, try us, give us your feedback.
And speaking of that, I mean, and again, talking from a product marketing perspective, when is GA for Entra? Like, when are we thinking exactly about nailing something like that, at least on a broad scale?
Again, I think without getting into the dates, it will be, so since we just public previewed last month, we will be GAing in a reasonable amount of time, and then we'll stay tuned for more. I'm excited that you're asking these questions, which means this is kind of right along the lines that you're thinking and you want to go to production on this. What we can do is if you are considering going to production in the short term, like in the next couple of months or so, please reach out to us. We are trying to handhold a few pilot customers, support them, give them the supportability that you would expect at GA. But of course, there's a filtering screening process for this. But we are happy to kind of consider you. So please reach out to us if that's the case.
Yep, absolutely. And people are probably seeing at the bottom of our screen, like if you want more information, please go to aka.ms/identityblog. That's the best way to get like all the latest information that we're releasing. Now, on a more technical level, can there be multiple Entra tenants configured under one Azure tenant, similar to the way B2C is configured today?
Yes. Yes, you can. So for instance, you might want to create separate tenants for separate business customers of yours, for instance, or for separate applications, even if you need be, although you don't need to, but yes, it is possible.
Yeah. Another common scenario would be like if you need a development, testing environment, staging, whatnot, too, versus production.
Right. I mean, the whole concept in mind, right, is to keep things along the same lines of what has been before, but we're just improving on the formula, right? So let's talk. We have a question from Floriano. Is it possible to explain in more detail the use of verified ID with external ID? Now, this is a great question. I know we're all pretty excited about the verified ID integration.
Yeah, definitely. So in the recorded presentation, you saw Avni talk about how exciting verified ID is, the capabilities that we are introducing. It's one of the passwordless modalities we are betting on. And the big scenario we're going after, initially, the pilot scenario is really reduction of help desk costs. And in terms of details on how exactly we are going to integrate it, of course, we'll paste the document there. But the idea is that think of when you call a help desk center, and all it takes about 10-15 minutes or maybe around that time for that help desk person to ask you questions to validate your social security number or all those privacy questions before they validate that you are who you are. Every minute counts. Every minute adds up to the cost. What verified ID, a simple scenario, is they send you a text or a QR code that you can scan and show yourself and say, yes, you're verified and you're who you are. And so that 10 minutes of verification is kind of shortened to a few seconds. And so that's really the advantage. And in terms of how you exactly integrate this into the admin dashboard, so it would be another modality, authentication modality, like say email password sign-in or Facebook sign-in or Google sign-in. You would have a verified ID sign-in as well that you would set up as another authentication modality. And so it's as easy as that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. You can imagine going to the bank in the real world and you just show your passport or something to prove who you are. There's no 20 questions. And so getting out of that digital world sounds pretty appealing.
Yeah. I mean, we're all trying to reduce the width of our wallets, right? So no more cards. If we can put it all on one spot, that would be ideal. Now, I just want to remind everybody in the audience to post your questions into aka.ms/accelerate/Entra ID. I assure you that's easier to type than it is for me to say. But let's move on to some more questions, guys. We have a question from Twitter. Do I have to use Azure services for my web app for a custom extension provider? I want to use my own environment.
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'll take that one. So what we're referring to here is the extensibility of our external ID platform. So that's the ability for you to add your own code and logic to influence how the sign-in and sign-up flow works. And so that code that we're referring to can run on whatever type of external service, hosting service, you're comfortable with. Certainly, we'll try to optimize for running on the Azure platform. If you want to call an Azure function, have some really simple logic through to implementing your own integrations with external vendors, service providers, that type of thing. And so you could certainly implement those, run on AWS or wherever is the preferred provider for your company, for your platform. So lots of flexibility there. You just need to implement the API contract and fulfill the data requirements that are needed.
Very cool. And just once again, for everybody in the audience, once again to say, post your questions at aka.ms/Tech Accelerator/Entra External ID. See, I caught myself on my own long URL line. But let's see here. Our next question is, very good one. What will happen to the current B2B collaboration in external ID? What will it look like inside?
So great question again. So it stays as it is. So if there's no migration. So for one, so I'll answer it as a two-part question. One is if you're referring to it as, do we have to migrate if you're a B2B collaboration customer today? No, you stay there. What happens because of this convergence, though, is that you get the goodness of all the additional customization feature. Recalling what Avni said in the presentation, so there's control, that's the left, that exists in the workforce and the B2B collaboration scenarios today, and then there is the right, which is customization, that exists in Azure AD B2C today, and we are bringing all of this together, all this goodness together into one platform. So the benefit for B2B collaboration is all the customization capabilities that are going to be lighted up in that. So yes, so if you're a B2B collaboration customer, it's status quo for you, and it will remain status quo for you. No migrations or anything needed. You will just see all these new customization features light up for you that you can try.
Yeah. And I think it's important also to mention, right, that B2B remains GA today, that there's no public preview for that. Any customer, like you said, it's good to go. All right, now moving on, are there any plans to templatize the custom attributes section?
So I can take that, Stephen, and you can add if you need. So I need a little more information on that. When you say templatize the custom attributes, so today, yes, you can add custom attributes. Any kind of, there is really no limit. You can add, and you can also call external APIs and get information from there as well, and add that as additional attributes. So maybe if you can reach out to either me or Steven to understand, and they are templatized today. So if you can give us a little more, maybe you're referring to templates for, say, a e-commerce vertical versus financial vertical versus healthcare vertical. That's the case. That's a great idea. Right now, we don't have it, but if you're referring to that, we'd love to talk more to you and see how we can make that easy.
Yeah, that's the follow-up question I'd have is, what kind of templates are you looking for? What's the scenario exactly? So do reach out. And yeah, as Pawan mentioned, I think having some standard off-the-shelf set of attributes for different verticals, industries, scenarios seems like a pretty good idea. And then if you do need this notion of extensibility, then we are thinking about how to help you scaffold the infrastructure you need to build in order to fulfill the custom extension logic. So things like being able to augment or add things to a sign up flow. So I think there's a couple different dimensions here. We'd probably need some specifics, but it sounds like there's some interesting ideas.
Yep. And I think it's worth mentioning that because we're in public preview, that's what we want, is the feedback from our users so that we can continue to shape as we get closer to GA and in the future and beyond, right? We want to make sure that all the needs are met. And just while we have a break for a moment, just to say, remember everybody, we're getting some awesome questions in the pipeline, but we want to keep them coming. So aka.ms/Tech Accelerator/Entra External ID. I got it right that time. I knew I'd get it. All right, so let's move on to a little more meaty question. Does Entra External ID support multi-tenant? For example, can external identity providers be configured per tenant for federation?
Yes. So the specific example that you mentioned, you can federate to other OIDC IDPs or SAML, or of course some of the social IDPs that we have, and we'll keep building on them. Social IDPs in the sense Google's and Facebook and Apple that we have now, and we'll keep building on them. So yes, federation to each tenant is possible, and you can do that today. Now, when you say, does external ID support multi-tenant? In the fullness of time, there are various scenarios, right? When you talk about multi-tenancy. So one of the most complex scenarios is that of an independent software vendor who has a SaaS app and multiple business customers with thousands or millions of their users. So that's as complex as it can get. By GA, we likely won't have that scenario available, but yes, in our core platform will support that feature, and we'll continue to deliver those. And again, so I think these are all really great questions. The one earlier on verifiable credentials as well, whoever asked that question, we would love for you to reach out to us so that we make your experience seamless. And the question on templatized attributes, that's another one. So anything where if you have misinterpreted your question or haven't answered it to the point, please feel free to reach out to us or post, follow up on the link that Joseph posted. And because that's the only way for us to know your scenarios and make sure we support them.
Yeah, one thing that we'd really love to hear is the sort of verticals and the types of applications that you'd like to build. Are you building consumer-oriented apps? Are you thinking about your B2B customers? Or are you like government to constituent scenarios? Yeah, if anyone wants to share, we'd love to hear.
Yep. Feedback is the lifeblood of the product marketers and the product managers. We are fueled by our customers. So thank you so much, guys, for that great answer. And again, reminder everybody that, yeah, feedback is key. And yes, once again, post your questions down below. But let's get to the next one. Might be a little easier, maybe not. Let's just see. Are we going to support WebAuthn?
Yes, that's going to be the future. So yes, we will support WebAuthn. The first things on that roadmap is passkeys. And we're going to get that close to GA plus. So just fast follow after GA. But yes, so you probably understand us by now that the fact that we are going after verifiable credentials means that we understand the future is going to be passwordless. Nobody wants to remember passwords or pins or anything like that. So we'll keep you posted. Great question.
Fantastic. All right, moving on here. Sorry, my scroll got busted. All right, now let's get on to security controls. Are there built-in security controls for things like credential stuffing or adaptive MFA?
So when you say yes, first of all, yes. So we have adaptive MFA, for instance, and we call that identity protection. So essentially what it does is we have a number of risk signals that we evaluate. And we are adding more and more risk signals now. If you are a B2C customer, you understand, and if you're using identity protection, we will be adding, for example, device fingerprinting as a risk signal very, very soon into identity protection as well. And then based on the risk score, there are some actions that we do. We either, admin can set and say, okay, we understand, just let them pass through the user sign-in, or give them an MFA, conditional access, or block them completely. So those are the actions available today. I kind of sense that when you say, are there built-in security controls, you might be referring to, okay, can we see the risk score and make a decision by ourselves, or make, more granular decisions based and by setting some thresholds to the risk scores.
Mhm.
Today, that's not available. But again, based on feedback, we'd love to hear from you and see how we can improve on that. But note that we're continuing to add more and more risk signals to the existing identity protection conditional access feature set.
Fantastic. And we have a question for Micah, because he followed the aka.ms/accelerate/Entra External ID. So it's a tough one every time. I got a little bit. So from Micah, will there be a separate SKU for Entra External ID?
Yes, it will be a separate SKU with its own kind of price point. And yes, so just to kind of lay it out in layman's terms, so Azure AD B2C will remain as a separate product. External ID, the SIAM that we've just launched in public preview, that will be a separate product. And they will continue to live in parallel for a period of time until we provide the migration path for all B2C customers to Entra.
All right. Now here's a question that has a few layers to it, so bear with me, guys, okay? Can my users get SSO, that single sign-on, with SharePoint sites with Entra External ID from my consumer app?
Fantastic question. So this has been a much asked feature for SIAM use cases. So one of the use cases we hear is in the financial sector, a banker kind of wanting to share SharePoint online loan documents with retail clients, and being able to collaborate on that, and being able to single sign on, right, to the different documents and so on. So yes, so we are working actively on this scenario. I know this is a high value scenario. This will be GA plus, not at GA, because this is a little of an advanced scenario, but very soon after GA, you will see this. Stay tuned. I would love to get in touch with you to because we are in the early stages of mock-ups and trying to go through the end-to-end flow. And if you would like to be involved in that, please reach out to us. I'm happy to kind of share that and get your feedback.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now guys, I was wondering when this would come up, and we finally got the question that everyone's probably been kind of thinking in the back of their mind. What is the future of B2C? And why did we start over instead of fixing B2C? It's a tough one.
Yeah. So I want to go back to Avni's point in the recording, where she said, we've been seeing, I'm hearing an echo. Do you guys hear an echo? I can hear an echo. Okay, it's fine now. So as Avni said, we've been seeing double and triple digit percentage growth rates year over year in B2C. Customers love this product. And we understand your scenarios thoroughly through that. But then so there's a saying that you either innovate yourself or somebody else will. So we've created that platform in a way, looking for about 3-4 years ago, thinking about certain things and which way the market is going to go. And now some of the questions you're asking, like VCs or SharePoint online collaboration and all of that, we feel we can bring those to you much faster through convergence, because most of these capabilities already exist on the Azure AD platform. So instead of rebuilding those features on B2C, which started off as a separate feature stack, this is the fastest way to get you the value that you need. And so in short, that's the answer to your question on instead of fixing something, why are we doing this? Because sometimes that's the fastest way to get you value and to continue our innovation, right? So it's not just what's available today. How do we take off to those new passkeys or WebAuthn or first-party app scenarios or multi-tenant, all those questions you asked, this is going to be the fastest path to get you all the goodness. And so what happens to the second part? What happens to B2C? B2C will be here, and we commit to the resiliency and availability of the product. We are continuing to do that today. We have a team. I'm a product manager on the B2C team as well as Steven. So we're continuing to do that. And we won't leave any customers behind until we show you a migration path to Entra External ID.
Yep. Excellent. Well, very well said, Pawan. Thank you. And again, we're doing great on our Ask Me Anything or Ask Us Anything session. Just want to remind everybody, aka.ms/accelerate/Entra External ID for your questions. We have a great one from Marco. When will a repo be public, which shows the Woodgrove demo for Entra External ID?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So we do have a demo site that's built on the Microsoft Entra External ID platform to show how to sign in, show the common scenarios. It's a great illustration, so Woodgrove. So that's what's being referred to here. So we have had some requests to see the code behind that. In order to open source the code, we do have to go through some review process, a little bit of cleanup. So there's some time involved there. But it's good to hear that there's interest in seeing how that works behind the scenes. So stay tuned. We did show a little bit of code, the actual code behind it at our build session. So I think we can probably get a link here for the build session from last month, and you can see some of how it works from that.
Yep, true story. Yeah, we will get that link for you. That was in our build breakout session where we did a much deeper dive on everything. I was in the audience, and these guys did an excellent job then too. So thanks for the consistency. So Max, you got a great question. It's a little large, so I'm gonna have to break it down a little bit as I scroll. So here we go. Are there intentions to include more context to conditional access? With apps, we don't have session context, while with MCAS, whoop, and there it goes. Sorry, my bad. There it goes. It's good. Let me say it again. With apps, we don't have session context, while with MCAS, we do have session context. It's a lot.
And I'm not sure what MCAS here stands for. So I might have to take this offline, unless Stephen, you have something to add here, or if
yeah,
Max.
So that's MCAS. So that's we're not the experts there, so we'll have to probably get back to you on that one.
Okay. Any thoughts on the first part of the question, though? More intentions to include more context to conditional access?
So again, today conditional access essentially just means that you have those three actions that I explained earlier to block access to an MFA or to let them pass through. So when you say more context, I feel like there is more depth to your question that I am not kind of understanding. So it's best to kind of follow up offline just to make sure we address your question.
Okay. Yep, you heard of Max. Please reach out to us offline, and we will get that question answered for you. And we have the build session link available down below. It's at aka.ms/build/secure apps external IDs. I think we should do a contest for how long the URLs I can make for you guys to spell out. But please visit that below, like I said, for another kind of deep dive directly from Build. So let's move on to our next question. Sorry, guys, when you get the big chunks, it's hard to go down. One thing actually we want to pause a little bit is to say, do we have an SCIM capability as well? Jumping around topics.
Yeah, great. So in Azure AD B2C, did not have it, but that's one of the goodness that Convergence is going to bring together. So right now in public preview, we don't, but you will get it in the fullness of time.
Yeah, and so Scim here is a standards-based provisioning protocol. So that's one of the nice things with Convergence is that in the Azure AD world, we've had support for that, and building on that platform, you'll keep that support.
Okay. And I love how we're getting a lot of good acronyms coming through. Don't forget to spell those out for you guys. And maybe we'll do a contest later to see who can round off the most amount of acronyms in under a minute. No, I'm just kidding. We wouldn't dare do that live and recorded. But here we have another acronym here. Oh, sorry, my question went down. Question, should I continue to invest in IEF, which our host has properly spelled out for me, Identity Experience Framework? And that's a new one for me.
Yeah, I can take that one. So for those of you new customers here, so IEF is, when I talked about in Azure Active Directory B2C, the current in-market product, you have user flows and what I call custom policies that uses, or IEF. So I'm assuming you're referring to custom policies here. So if you are a current, I'll kind of answer this in two parts. If you're a current B2C customer on custom policies, you should absolutely do what is right for your business. Yes, invest in whatever additional journey orchestration or capabilities you need to build because it's important to have your business continuity. And then when we get to feature parity and we have the migration tools, we'll take you over to Entra External ID. If you're a new customer who's evaluating between B2C and Entra External ID, our preference is that you get started on Entra External ID, provided we meet your needs in terms of features, and the velocity is going to increase, right? As the converged capabilities are going to light up on or Azure AD capabilities like app roles or groups or Scim, SCIM, and all of the things that will light up. So the velocity is going to be faster. The innovation is going to be faster because of that. So I would recommend that you get started on this. But then if you're unsure, reach out to us and we can share a little bit of our roadmap under NDA and guide you on the right path between the two. Hope that answers your question.
Yep. And if that didn't answer the question, please leave another one. Remember, aka.ms/accelerate/Entra External ID. We can always do a follow-up if we want to explore that some more. But now we have a great question that I'm actually really excited somebody brought up, a little near and dear to my heart. Do you expect orgs to host all users in one unified tenant, or should we have a separate tenant for customers?
Fantastic question, and we did a lot of research on this. In general, almost 100% or 100% of the customers we spoke to, they did not want to mingle customers or end users with their employees or partners in a single unified tenant for security reasons, for scale reasons, for other reasons, and so on. So our recommendation or our path that we are showing is customers are in a separate tenant. It is an Azure AD tenant. It's just configured to suit the customer scenarios. So we call it the customer configured Azure AD tenant. Right. So that's in short the answer to your question. A follow-up for most customers would be, in that case, how can I collaborate? How does collaboration happen? Like the SharePoint online collaboration that with an employee who is a banker. So the idea is that we've built the platform in such a way that none of the collaboration scenarios are blocked, right? So all of those will light up. We've done this separation only to give you that security and privacy that you need and to reduce that surface area of attack that a customer tenant has that you don't want to expose your employee tenant to, right? So that's the reason we are proposing this, but it's not going to hinder any of the collaboration scenarios or other scenarios. Just to kind of level set.
Yep. Awesome. And then actually kind of on that same sort of topic, are there limits to how many external accounts can be managed?
So when you say external accounts, I'm assuming you're talking about the number of external users. I would say for practical, obviously there's always a theoretical limit, right? I cannot say it's infinite.
Sure.
But for all practical reasons, I don't believe you'll hit the limits that we have, and we'll be able to serve you. So, for instance, in Azure AD B2C, we serve really large customers, close to 100 million users, and we've never had a single customer who had an issue scaling up to that level. Now, granted, this product is taking off, and at GA, we'll have some theoretical limits that will continue to kind of improve.
Mhm.
I'd be surprised if you would ever hit those practical limits that we have. So yeah, for your, I think in short, you should be rest assured that we'll meet your scale requirements. That's really the benefit that Azure platform offers you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just want to let everybody know who's watching, we're getting kind of close to the end of our session. So again, get those questions. I'll aka.ms/accelerate/Entra External ID. I promise to only say that at least once per minute left. No, I'm just kidding. Let's get on to a next question. It's a little bit large. AAD B2C has user flows in the identity experience framework. Creating your own customer user flows using the identity experience framework is rough because we have to edit XML. How can we create customer user flows in MS Entra?
Fantastic question. We know that our customers, Azure AD B2C customers, hate XML. It's not easy. And that was also one of the reasons of thinking through convergence. We want to give you all the goodness without you have to go through hoops to code XML and learn this new language and all of that. So it'll be user flows. Right now at public preview and going to GA, all the capabilities we are looking to offer through user flows alone. So you don't need to, we'll abstract out all the XML stuff for you. Mm-hmm. That's the first phase one. And moving forward, you can imagine low code, no code, Copilot kind of path that we'll take. Again, it's a longer term thing, but I just wanted to kind of paint the picture for you. But for now, it's only user flows. We are getting away from XML, and we will never ask you again to use that in the new platform. Steven, if you want.
Yeah. So I'd add that one of the reasons that AD B2C customers went down the path of learning the proprietary XML stuff was for the extensibility, the ability to call out to external services and implement and write their own code. So as we've alluded to, there is an extensibility model in the unified platform. It's an event-based model. So when certain events happen, like a token is about to be issued, you can make a call out to an external service. There's an API contract, and then you'll return some data back that can influence the flow or the logic. So adding additional claims in a token, for example, is one that we demoed at Build. And so you can achieve the same things that you could have achieved with the IE, IEF XML platform in the past, but you can do it now in a way that probably makes use of the coding and the patterns that you're more familiar with, more comfortable with. And so I think that really does improve the developer experience there.
Yep, absolutely. And as we talked about at Build, the customer experience, the developer experience is front and center for what we're doing in our public preview and going forward into external ID. So that's awesome. And again, in the interest of time, guys, let's see if we can get a few more knocked out. Here's a kind of a meaty one, but let's see if what we can do. We're using Terraform to manage our B2C infrastructure as code. Will there be a similar deployment process to replicate infrastructure between environments?
I'll have to get back to you on that. We are in the, I'd say I don't have the full details on it yet, but I understand that this is a process in B2C and we're trying to get some of those capabilities. By GA, what we'll have is TBD, but we'll let you know shortly. And Steven, unless you have something to add.
Yeah, I guess I have the general answer of we are making investments in improving the infrastructure as code capabilities in this core unified platform. So there's some new stuff that has come out around supporting these declarative models. So I guess, yeah, I think the best answer right now is stay tuned, as Pawan alluded to.
Okay, fair enough. And we're getting into like the final minutes. So just kind of want to pause on the questions and then just ask you guys a question directly. Any final thoughts on the evolution of where external ID is going to go and what you guys are excited about?
I'm super duper excited about this new platform and the velocity at which this is going to deliver new features compared to where we are today. That's the first thing. And I'm also super proud to say that we are already in public preview. It's a non-trivial task of getting this convergence to fruition and GA very soon. What I'd ask all of you at this point is, if you are evaluating getting onto external ID and you're worried about it's in public preview and will we get the support, I would say do not worry about the support aspect of it. Reach out to us. We are looking for pilot customers to come on board and try us, and we can work with you to see how best we can support you so you can get your production workloads on there. So please reach out to us with any questions, any feedback, and then we look forward to you, having you as our pilot customer on this kind of a transformational next generation journey.
Yeah, and so I'd add that I'm super excited to see what people build with the external ID platform. I've worked in this space a long time and talked to a lot of developers, and it's very tempting to try to build something yourself with usernames and passwords. Like, how hard could it be? And I think you discover pretty quickly that to add the management and the security capabilities that you really need to build a first-class experience, not to mention like the user experience aspects, like it's a major investment, and picking a platform that will scale and grow with you is really important. So excited to see what people build on the platform, and hear what features you need. That's what helps us prioritize. So thanks so much.
Yeah, well said, guys. Really appreciate it. And just because it's summertime doesn't mean we're relaxed around here. We've got two big moments coming up on July 11th. You can check out the link below at aka.ms/MSFT Entra. And then we also have part 2 of the Tech Accelerator coming on July 20th. Also down below, aka.ms/accelerate Entra/July 2023. So it's going to be a busy summer for us, and we're happy to have and host and answer all of your questions. Guys, any closing thoughts? During the headlights moment, you're like, I'm done talking to you. That's totally fine. Join us again for the July 11th Reimagine Secure Access with Microsoft Entra event. Pawan, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. And everyone who questions weren't answered, please reach out to us. We're always happy to hear from you, happy to work with you, and of course, happy to host you on our public preview of Entra ID.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.